Dr. Jazz. Dr. Jazz.
To start with I saw some solo footage of you on YouTube the other day from this Panda Theater in Berlin.
Yeah.
And this Pentasonic project that you've been doing, and I was quite impressed by the sound and everything. And I wanted to ask you, how did you come up to the idea to play solo guitar first of all, and what was the concept behind this Pentasonic project?
Well, it started a little bit me working with a guy who does a lot of something that they call Hörspiel in German. I don't know the English.
Yeah,
right?
Hörspiel. Yeah. I know. I speak German, but yeah, I don't know.
I guess radio, maybe radio play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is the word. So it's quite common here in Germany. You know, there's a lot of radio productions for this, and this is about 13 years ago or something. I was working for this guy, and you know, he asked me to do some. Just with a solo guitar, some music for this, you know, and this guy was called, he's called Sean Chimchak, and he had a nice studio. So he had this idea that I would keep on doing this, and I started, you know, to get a little bit better signal because I was looping myself.
Yeah.
I started dividing the loops in different amps. So the idea was to put them, you know, different. I wanted to do many layers of loops that you cannot really hear it being looped. So it's kind of like multi-layered. And
Wow.
and then we sent it into 5 different amps. And this is how this project Pentasonic started. And I did one album with this project for him. It's called Iris in Trance. And
I have to check it out. I didn't know. Oh, wow.
yeah. And it's also, I mean, it's not so easy to be able to hear it, but we also did Dolby surround mix of it, 5.1. So there's also DVD. So if somebody has a 5.1 system, you can listen to surround. Yeah.
So in a live setting, that means like what? The amplifiers are all around the audience, or?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I did not. I mean, this is when this album came out. This is about 10 years ago. So I was doing this. It was kind of heavy to build this setting, you know. I sometimes did it in some classes, even, you know, build these amps around the audience. It was kind of hard. So now when I was playing Banda Theater, I was just using 3 signals, and I did not build them around the audience, but I put them, or maybe it was 4. Could have been 4. I placed them just on the stage. It's kind of small.
Yeah.
But this guy, Beat Halberschmidt, who did this recording for his platform, Berta, he did quite a good work to record this show. So you have a little bit of feeling. Sometimes there are some multi-layered stuff. There's one piece also in the live show from the Iris in Trance. Actually, the piece called Iris in Trance is yeah.
But how did you do that? So you have like basically one looper, and you put it out, or you have several, just guitar geek stuff? I mean, but
I have several loopers. Yeah. So how I do it? I have there's one. I have Boss RC50.
Yeah. Okay.
And from this, you can send 3 different loops to 3 different amps. So it's possible actually. This big one.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I have the small one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then I send bass signal of extra of this Octavia tube.
Yeah.
So I send that to bass amp, and I can make bass loops of that. And in my guitar, I have also piezo pickup. So I have an extra output for that, extra cable. So it's totally separated, and I can even loop that if I want.
That's beautiful then. Okay, cool.
Do layering, so it's not so clear, you know, how when the loop start and go. So there's always some loop going, some are stopping.
I love that. Yeah, I love that also. With delays and loops, it's always like, you know, you press it wrongly, and then suddenly you have like a 15/8 rhythm going on. Like, wow, what is this?
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
But how is it like for you playing solo? You know, like I remember before the lockdown last year, I started playing some solo gigs. I've never done that before. I mean, I always did duo and for me, it was like in the beginning really scary to stand there, you know, sit there, solo guitar. It's you know, we're used to playing with drums or bass and kind of interact with people. And
exactly, yeah.
How is it for you? Like, you know, I don't have the technique of Ralph Towner or you know, you don't want to copy Bill Frisell, let's say, with some of his stuff. But how do you approach a solo concert, and how is it for you playing solo?
Yeah, I've been kind of developing a little bit of technique of trying to play tunes on my own. So there's a little bit of this technique, what you would say by, you know, what Ralph Towner has, using, you know, fingers.
Yeah.
Trying to play a little bit the bass line. So I have some tunes, I have some vocabulary for, you know, some tunes that where I kind of do a little bit like classical guitar style. But it's not really, what I try to do is, they're not arranged pieces. I try to practice in a way that I could improvise that way.
Yeah.
So I could kind of keep the form in my head and play the bass function also during I play. So I have some tunes that are like that, and then I have some tunes where I use looper. So it's a little bit like, I used to be, you know, when I did Pentasonic, it was mostly looping. But last years I've been also doing concerts without looper and kind of learning, you know, more and more just to do it on spot.
Yeah,
you're right. It's a great challenge, and I've been. I was lucky. I've also done for music for 2 theater pieces.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm alone on those 2, and some of those were running over years. So I got to this one piece we did, Orestea, by Aeschylus. We played it 60 times, so I had a chance to really practice playing alone. You know, just because I did the music was alone. You know, and now there's another piece by the same director running in a Berlin ensemble called the Kaukasische Kreidekreis from Bertolt Brecht, and
wow, really?
Yeah,
wow, super.
And I also do the music alone on that, so I'm playing a lot on that piece. I'm also on the stage, and I've had a lot of practice, just kind of repeating always the same stuff, and being able to just kind of just get these hours down, getting used to the feeling. So actually, right now, you know, after having doing it so much, it's become easier. You know, I've kind of created systems also. You know, when the ideas are running out. But basically, usually I'm not completely improvising. I think the hardest one is if you decide to improvise completely.
Yeah.
And this is also, you know, something for, you know, to specialize on. And I know it can be, you know, practiced also, but I'm not as far yet.
No, I know what you mean. It's hard. Like, it's not good to combine. Yeah. It's but otherwise, you like, you know, I have like, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 albums of yours, like different, all these lineups, and you know, I've been listening to your music for a long time, and like I said, and been a fan of your composing and playing, and because you sound different, but man, you're like one of the busiest musicians out there. I check out your website, and you have so many groups going on. And I would like to ask you about some of these projects.
Sure.
And first of all, I would like to ask you, how did the connection with Ziggy Loch and the act music begin in the beginning? Because I was quite surprised, you know, I was used to Klima Kalima and all this more kind of really wicked stuff, you know, where you go into like this crazy free and some composition and, you know, but then you started doing these projects, which are kind of more mellow and country oriented almost. How did the connection with Ziggy anyway begin with act music?
It was a bit of a coincidence because I got to know the bass player Greg Cohen. Mm-hmm. You know, he's been living in Berlin for about 50 years, and we got to know. We played a little bit, and then at some point, Greg, there was some film team that wanted to do a little music video of Greg's playing. So he asked me and Max Andrzejewski to, you know, to be part of this. And we did a little, it was actually a tattoo parlor. Somebody was getting tattoo
Oh, wow.
and we were playing country music, because Greg.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we started to get together once a while with Greg and Max and play. We played some simple tunes, some country tunes, but also some traditional tunes of some Finnish tunes. Yeah, there's a Sibelius tune, there's Finnish folk music, and we were kind of just jamming. And then we played a few gigs. We made a little demo, and Siggy heard this demo, and he liked it. He thought it's kind of different attitude, than many groups. And so somehow it came that he wanted to put the album High Noon out, with this stuff.
The trio.
So that's how the cooperation started. So it was a little bit of it was a little bit of coincidence, but it's been a positive experience, and I'm really happy also with the album with Craig and and now the second one with Knut, Reiersrud.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this one. This is beautiful. This Flying Like Eagles project, man. It's so mellow. It's like you put it on and it's just like, I've never been to Finland, but I've been, let's say, in Maine, and we're in New England in the States. When I imagine you're just driving there and it's nothing. It's just like this sounds and beautiful stuff going on. And first, I wanted to ask you about this Flying Like Eagles. How did you select the band first? You have Jim Black, who's amazing on drums, and
well, I had a chance to play with Jim a little bit about 10 years ago. I did a project with NDR Big Band. I composed some music for them, and was lucky to have Jim play drums on that.
Yeah.
So I knew him a little bit, and I also knew him for the work with Frank Mobus and Kalle.
Oh yeah, that's a great trio. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know also working with Carlos and some other occasions, and with Frank as well. So I knew Jim's versatility, in different styles, and I just asked him, if he would be interested. Playing kind of just songs. It's very simple material. Anyway, Siggy had the idea to, that I and Knut could try to do something together, So this is how I got to know Knut.
But you knew Knut from before, or no?
No, I did not know him. I've heard of him, but I did not know him. And then we got to jam a little bit, so we're just trying out, and it felt very organic and good. So we decided, try to do an album, and then Phil Donkin is a great bass player. He's also in Berlin, so
he's in Berlin.
It was just an kind of experiment at first, but I'm happy how it came out.
Yeah, it's how did you select the tunes, by the way? Like Hotel California, it can be like really, it's a tricky tune to play, not because it's a heavy tune to play, but we all know, the classic version and the unplugged version. And how did you approach the arrangements, of these tunes, or like Hurt,
Yes, this is one project where, actually the first project where I did where some ideas came also, from Siggy, and he did not say which tunes, but he gave us some ideas which direction it could go to. He had some wishes, and I said to him, well, we could try. We could try and see if it's possible to. These are tricky tunes, because they are very well known. So I was not sure if it could work out. If you could able to make anything fresh out of it. But we tried, and I'm happy how it came out. It's something I would not have done if I didn't come up with the idea. But I'm also very happy we have these native Indian chants. There are 3 different native Indian chants in the album.
Beautiful. Yeah. How did you get those? Just.
Well, Knut knew some of these chants, so he came up with some of it. And Knut has also some connection to American players. He's been playing with some blues. With Dr. John, Steve Ray Vaughan, so he has some connection to American musicians and also to some native Indian musicians. Yeah. Some of that and there were just some. We just tried out different tunes. We had one more, also, but we decided for these tunes to be most
appropriate.
Appropriate for us, and it was really. It was a lot of fun. It went really fast,
No, it's beautiful because especially Hotel California did such a nice arrangement. Like I said, it's tricky to do something new with it. You can easily make it like, okay, we'll do it in 7, or that's like a too easy arrangement. But how you did it, it's really nice.
Thank you so much. We actually combined it with a West African chant. There's quite in the end of the piece. There's a West African chant, and also we added one. Usually, it's all Hotel California would be normally 8 bars, but we changed the form to 9-bar form. And kind of try to stick to the spirit, but we change it just a little bit to give it a little bit of another edge to it. But so we were actually working really hard on this one to make it work.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It turned out amazing in the end. So it's so nice, man. But speaking of act, man, I listened to this other record you did, Lampedusa Lullaby by Cool, and man, this is incredible. Like that song, I don't know, he wrote it, Scream, that groove, and it is just like awesome. And I wanted to ask you, how was this group formed? I mean, I played with Christian. I did some tours with Christian.
Yeah,
he's awesome, and I know Frank and all you guys are amazing. How was this group formed, or Cool? I mean,
well. By the way, if you want to hear a very fresh live gig by Cool, we just played on last Saturday by Hessischer Rundfunk, Deutsches Jazz. So you can see us live stream. It should be in the Mediatek for next 30 days.
Ah, super.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, thanks. I'll check it out. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, well, anyway, I got to, through some musical theater projects I did about 10 years ago, I got to know Yelena Kuljic, the singer. She's originally from Serbia, but was also studying in Berlin, and we were kind of colleagues here. And so there was an idea that, it would be interesting to do something together. And then, with Christian, we also had some ideas to have a group together. And then somehow, when Frank, as a fourth, came to that, then we really had a interesting mixture. So first album called Sex gegen Essen. This is about, I would say, about 7 years ago.
Ah, this is quite old, the group already. Okay.
The first album, I would say about, it came like 2014 maybe, 14, 15, somewhere there. Sex gegen Essen, our first album, where I would say we're still kind of searching a little bit for the style, but you can also recognize the band. And actually we still play, till now we play live that material. Also now on Saturday we played
a
few tunes of the first one. And then the second one, Lampedusa Lullaby, we wanted to be a little bit more concentrated also on some political themes. So it's been an important part of Cool to have the lyrics, the text are
message. Yeah,
there's some message going on. And now we're actually working on a third album, which is, we already recorded the pieces, but it's gonna come out probably late 21 now.
Oh, super.
Yeah. So we're.
It's so much fun to hear you and Frank, like going like this. I mean, I love Frank as well, like from, the Rote Bereich and all these stuff that you get.
Yeah.
And it's like you guys are just like going there, and it's.
Thank you. I mean, it's so much fun to work together in this group. It's all great musicians, and it's And we've been working really hard trying to find our own voice. So I think we're slowly getting there.
Yeah, it is. It's like a mix of, I don't know, pop almost, like meets Mr. Bungle, or I don't know, whatever, like going somewhere. It's like it's so cool. But I wanted to ask you, Carl, like, how do you, speaking of, because you're right, I think a lot of music, right? For so many different projects now that I kind of listened more intensely these days to your music just to get in the vibe. And how do you write, basically? Like, do you write like for the group? You have, like, let's say, or do you write some ideas just every day and then you put them somewhere, and then, or do you start with a groove or on piano, or how is your creative process?
Well, actually, it's all of what you just mentioned. Basically, I sometimes I know that the group, there's going to be demand for cool we like to do. We need new pieces. We don't want to play the old ones anymore. We want to move on. So I write for the group. I might have some material, already in my bag, because like you said, I try to compose all the time, a little bit. Every day, I compose. So it's kind of for me, when I practice, I also compose. So
you write down an idea that you have.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So I practice, I compose. Sometimes I sit down and, if I need to get something ready, then I just sit down and really do the composing work. So basically I'm trying to, I'm circulating also a lot of ideas. So sometimes it's like something I thought, that could maybe work for some project ends up in somewhere totally different. Yeah. But it's an it's an everyday process. Yeah.
Okay. But I wanted to ask you, like, how do you then, especially with Klima Kalima, I mean, I noticed this, like, your tunes have, like, it's like, for me, it's like reading a novel when listening to a song of you. Like, you have a character and he's going through all these different landscapes. The tune goes, it's like driving or something. It's like a short movie. I don't know. That's how I hear it.
Well, I'm so happy. I'm so glad to hear that somehow it comes through. That's great. You're really listening very carefully. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm a musician as well, so to get ideas, you sometimes listen to other music also. You're stuck somewhere or.
Sure.
But how do you, let's say, compose a tune in a sense of development? Do you kind of like writing down on a paper, like, okay, I have this section, now we somehow have to go there, and like, how do you do that?
Well, this is a puzzle. Yeah, it's hard to say. I use kind of mixed techniques. So sometimes I work for a moment on a guitar, then I put it on a Sibelius.
Okay.
I do some passages for maybe for the whole group. Then I might work a little bit on the piano. So I do all the time kind of mixed media and keep on circulating and trying to have a feeling of the form of the tune, but also of the thematic. And I'm trying to, it's kind of like every tune have a little bit their specific story.
Yeah.
So if you would, Scream, for example.
Yeah, how did you come up with Scream? Let's say, okay, with this.
Exactly, Scream. Well, Scream, I would say, started me. I sometimes use alternative tunings on a guitar. So I had some open tuning. I can't remember which one. Probably maybe something like, where I had in the lower octave, I had probably. If you start from low, I have B.
Okay.
F sharp, D, G, H, E. So
wow. Okay. Wow. Okay.
So this kind of tuning, and I was I was somehow jamming or trying out, and I came up with this bass riff probably on an alternate tune. So and then I guess I just started to. I put a little piece together with two parts, basically A and B part in this alternate tuning. First is kind of straight, and then there was a C part. I have to admit, I can't remember how they extracted. Then I took it to the band, and they put every time, they put their ideas to it.
Ideas.
So I remember we were at the same time working also on the text, and with the form, and I remember it was complex. So every time, we needed to, when we came up with some phrases, we needed to fix the text down, but the text was not ready yet. So it was somehow like one step further, and then we had to stop, and then I would do a new idea. Frank would come, maybe idea for a phrase, how to rhythmize it, and so, and for the second part, I remember Christian had an idea for the second part. We played many times in a normal tempo. Once we played in double time. So there was also Yelena, through the text and her phrasing gave her ideas to it. So I think that piece also has like a collective arranging and some composing element to it. Yeah.
But do you always work like that, or like with Klima Kalima with both Olivers?
Yeah.
Like do you that you kind of are open with composition, that you allow people to get their ideas, right? It's not like this is it and.
Sure, it's always different. Sometimes I manage to bring a piece that works, that we can play right away, and everybody kind of finds their part right away. But sometimes it's like clear that some of it's working, some not.
Yeah.
Sometimes the musicians would, propose changes or propose, ask me to, rewrite something to say, or say that this part doesn't work, so I might take it back home and try to integrate, that what they proposed or what we collectively came about. So it's always, each band has their own
different story,
kind of different way of working. But with Klima Kalima, we play up 20 years already. So
I know, I saw that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So in a way, now I know pretty well what the guys like to do, in a way, certain way, and I know it better and better.
Yeah.
And so I try to, of course, bring material that's motivating and interesting for them. But yeah.
But with Klima Kalima, like playing 20 years with the same group, right? How do you, like from your perspective, or I don't know the other guys, but like, how do you keep it fresh? Like playing with, in a way, it's really good to play with the same people, right? Yeah. Because you really blend together. But how do you maintain not boredom, let's say, musically?
Yeah, it is the biggest challenge, I would say, with this group. And we always have also long pauses. So we usually made a record, we toured, then we might pause for a year. That we do not much. Actually, we also recorded totally new album, a live album with all new pieces. We did this in January, but it's not come out yet. It's not quite clear when it's released and by which label. But we recorded it in January this year, and it's all new material, kind of inspired by space travel. So
wow, super.
Yeah. So we have a lot of, we have, basically the album is there, we need to just release it. And this was, has been a great fun. I mean, now we kind of a little bit holding back because of Corona that we played actually in September. We managed to play a few concerts, and we're trying to, get active at some point again.
Yeah. It's like, like you said, this one is connected to space travel. You did one with K18, Some Kubricks of Blood, with kind of Stanley Kubrick related. You seem to have like also this connection to movies, or to some. That's always a topic. How come? Where does this come from?
Well, it's just kind of, for me, it helps to keep the whole thing together and maybe to communicate a little bit what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
it's populistic. No, but it's also for me,
I know,
trying to help the ideas to stay a little bit, in one ballpark, that it doesn't just go in every kind of direction, that there would be some common
thread.
It helps me, but I mean, I thought for me it's been useful.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. One question. Speaking of Klima Kalima, a message on Dave Holland's answering machine. Where did you come up with this title? I mean, what's the story behind that?
I guess it's just. I mean, I never called Dave Holland. I don't have his number even.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's maybe it's just on this idea about every jazz musician knows this, that there are some heroes, some great, some great people you'd like to know, try to play with and try to get to know them. But it's impossible. You will be never able to reach these people, or you will never be able to play with these people. And it's about that feeling.
About that. No, I love that. It's you have so much also humor, like sometimes some of your tunes remind me of Frank Zappa, because it's sometimes gets unpredictable, and it's like humoristic. Like you come up with a F section, which is like, it's like, what happened now? I like that. Also, the titles reflect that. I just wanted to ask you also, speaking of composition, and where's the border for you between improvisation and composition within your tunes? Because sometimes it's hard to follow. I mean, what is true composed and what is improvised? Like, what would you say is the?
Well, that is my great challenge and my goal, to make it unclear.
Ah, okay, super.
So that's actually my life's work, you know, in a way that I try to play. I like to compose in a way it sounds a little bit improvised, and I like to play it also that way, and I like to improvise way it sounds a little bit composed, at least sometimes. So because I like the music just to be organic flow, so it would be not so clear, and that's actually, you know, what, especially with Klima Kalima, we've been really working on hard on this, and I think we're getting better and better. I think helps year after year, you know, helps better, you know, that you just can't really tell where one starts and the other, you know, begins.
I love that, because it's just like, what is this now? You know, is it composed? I mean, it doesn't matter whether it is, but for me, you know, as a guitarist, it's just like, I'm like really.
Yeah, I'm happy, you know, you can't figure it out always, because that's what we're trying to do, you know, we're trying to.
Good. I just wanted Kalle to ask you just one thing going back, like, you know, when I listen to your guitar playing, it's, you know, you hear so many influences, like from jazz and almost fusion and country or pop even, like, who were your guitar heroes or influences in the beginning? Who did you like listen to a lot, or?
Well, you're totally right. I mean, I've been listening to everybody. I've been like really a terrible collector of all kinds of influences and letting it all flow, you know. So I was listening so much music and basically, of course, you know, like, you know, when I was a kid, starting with, you know, Beatles, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, but soon also Mahavishnu Orchestra, Wes Montgomery, Alan Holdsworth, you know. Surely, you know, progressive rock music, David Gilmour, Steve Hackett, all these people. But all kind of jazz players, fusion players, you know, of course, Schofield, Pat Metheny, Purcell. Then I was, you know, when I was later studying more, you know, jazz, I was listening to loads of saxophone player. I love Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, you know, Wayne Shorter, Miles Davis,
all this stuff,
Ornette Coleman,
basically all,
basically everything, you know, trying to take, and actually at that point when I got a little bit older, when I was studying, I was actually trying to listen to less and less guitar players. Because I realized I was so keenly influenced by, you know, I loved Schofield so much at that time, so I stopped listening to him and forbid myself, you know, to do any of, you know, his influence, and try to actually kind of always, you know, biting my tongue when I would do a Schofield or Bill Frisell lick or, you know, anything, and try to, you know, just through listening to saxophone players and mostly saxophone players, try to get out of kind of my licks and my guitar stuff.
The kalup kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's still ongoing, you know, the process is ongoing. I'm still learning and getting influenced.
No, definitely, But do you remember like the first jazz record that you heard, or like that you kind of, or jazz concert that, you know? I remember the first jazz record that kind of I figured out was Pat Metheny group, The Road to You, that live recording, and my classical guitar teacher gave me the CD. And I put it on, and I was just like, you know, I listened, like you said, also to Hendrix and Dire Straits and the Beatles, and that was something completely new to me. Like, do you remember some of these moments?
Yeah, like, I remember there was one called Birds of Fire by Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Ah, really? Oh, wow.
I was about 14, and I put that thing on. I still have the LP here, and you know, when the gong started and that thing.
That's amazing.
I was really interested. It was so different. It was so out. You know, it was polytonal, polyrhythmic, and it had this energy. And it was so dark somehow. I love this. So complex and dark. I have to say, I have a heart for complexity and, you know, and darkness.
Well, come on. Okay, you come from Finland. That's a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, but you know, of course.
I like darkness too. Yeah, me too. Like the dark the music is. I way easier write a song, a minor kind of related song, than a happy song. I don't know why, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
And also I heard some early Pink Floyd where they were actually free improvising. It was like, you know, if you know some of these albums, Sourceful Secret,
I know that stuff.
Or Yuma Guma, there are some passages where they just free improvise with sounds. And I really loved that when I heard that when I was a kid. So I got, then later, you know, listening to free improvised music and new classical music.
Yeah.
Of course, Zappa was he was kind of key figure in a way, understanding that his influences are definitely coming from some other place than jazz and rock, but you know, from new classical music, and just realizing there are so many, you know, ways to go, and especially for electric guitar. I always thought in jazz we have a great chance because our instrument is kind of young. If you compare it to tenor saxophone, you have all these incredible virtuoso masters of tenor saxophone players. Of course, in guitar we have this too, but it's a little bit younger instrument in a way that we don't have so many dominant figures, you know, for the history of jazz. There's still room for, you know. So I was so, you know, I really sense that combining jazz and rock and electric guitar is just the greatest thing to do in life.
It is, yeah, no, I agree. I like that, what you do. It's like, you know, you put everything together and make one big soup, and it's like all this incredible stuff, which, you know, which is you basically.
But you are on the same business. I mean, you know, you sound, I mean, it's beautiful what you do, and I think, you know, it's a kind of, you know, certain people in different countries, I mean, they are connected with this kind of ideas.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. It's just, for me, it's fun to because I kind of, you know, many people I spoke to kind of the same, you know, I listen to everything. If it's a good pop song, I will listen to a good pop song, or, you know, I'm a huge Meshuggah fan, let's say, or all these technical death metal stuff, and, you know, and it's fun it's good to hear that, you know, all musicians like you are also like heavily influenced by everything. I love that. You know.
This is all, you know, this is all part of our heritage. This is, you know, how we grew up with all this stuff, and now through internet we even can, you know, this is crazy what we didn't have as a kid. But I've been now checking out a little bit some you know, Ligeti and this kind of stuff, and you can find all these pieces with scores in YouTube. You know, you can
I know, I saw that. That's incredible.
I mean, it used to be so much work and so expensive to try to get this information. Now it's even easier, you know.
Yeah, I've been writing some choral music for a choir now, and I love Arvo Pärt, you know, and it's
of course. Yeah.
He did amazing stuff, and I was like, okay, let's check on YouTube what's there, and there's like his choral stuff, you know, with scores, and you just put on your headphones. I'm like, okay, that's what you know. It's so easy nowadays. So
that's just the problem, because there's so much great music there. It's so hard not to get influenced by it and say, hey, I'm just trying to, you know, remember what was my own voice, because I've been also like, you know, just yesterday listening to all these great string quartets by different people and saying, oh man, I mean, this is just, it's so beautiful and so easy to get, you know, kind of inspired and influenced him.
Kalle, I just wanted to ask you, like, about some collaborations you did, not to take too much of your time, but I'm really curious about some of these. Like, I mentioned like Hippie Cone in the beginning, and you know, you collaborate. It's one of your first albums, if I'm not mistaken.
It is my first album, and I just heard yesterday that the label is going to put it on Spotify, so it's going to be actually available.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, how did you? I mean, Marc Ducret is one of my definitely top guitar heroes.
Of course, yeah.
And some of the most underrated guitarists, basically, because, you know, he's like Ben Monder in a way. Like, only guitarists and musicians know about these guys, but they should not. And how did you hook up with Marc Ducret for that project?
Oh, it was just great luck, because he was touring in Finland at that time with his trio, and there's a great organizer in Finland, Charles Schill, who puts Finnish and French bands together many times. So we're opening up with the quartet I was playing with, Nujamehet. We're opening up for Marc's trio, and so I got to hear him many times. And then I just asked, you know, asked him basically if he's interested, you know, because I was doing this album, if he's interested to play on some tunes. He's playing on 5 tunes, and he said yes, and it was great. I mean, it was a great chance for me, you know, to see how he works, and I, you know, he was just playing so great, you know, and was willing to play with these young guys, you know, on our record. So I was very happy about that.
That's beautiful. What about this other connection? Speaking of connections, Wadada Leo Smith, Occupy the World. Like that's amazing. How was your experience to work with him? I mean, he's such a visionary composer, and that work that you did with the Tumo orchestra. How did that happen?
Well, this Tum is also a label in Finland I've been working with.
Yeah.
And Tum, Petri Hausila, who's the producer of that label, decided to do this project and asked me to be part. And I was very happy, you know. I mean, Wadada, like you say, he's a visionary guy, you know, as a composer and as a player, as an improviser. So very lucky to be part of that and experience, you know, how he works.
Yeah.
Which is very precise in a way. He's very, you know, he leaves a lot of freedom to his musicians, but he knows exactly what he's going for. You know, it was very. I took so much inspiration with me, you know.
But were there like sketches just, or like actually?
There were sketches. Yes.
Yeah.
There was sometimes some traditionally notated material. There was some graphic material, and there was a clear idea about organization of the.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool to see a video how you guys did that, because it's quite a big orchestra.
It's a bit back, you know. It's about maybe 8 years, but it was, I remember I also heard him play live in a church, just a solo concert.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was learning a lot, and he explained a little bit about his background, which is not, you know, he comes from South.
Yeah. I
think he comes from Mississippi or somewhere, and experiencing, you know, things in his youth that were rough, and where his music is coming from, you know.
Yeah. Wow, beautiful, man. Just two last names that I didn't see them on CDs. I don't know if you made albums with these two guys, but like, because, you know, with Ducret and Wadada, you made albums. But Anthony Braxton, because I'm a huge fan of the quartet and everything he did. And how did you hook up with him, or when was that happening?
This happened in, it's also a while back. It happened for a festival in Finland called Kerava Jazz. They put a band together, you know, to feature Braxton, and we did some radio recordings. I think they've never been released. It was very interesting to work with him. I still have some materials, you know. He would hand out his pieces. I think it was Ghost Trance, some generation, you know. We were playing. I remember one funny thing, you know. His music, you know, there are signs. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very elaborate system. Anyway, then he said it's important that we're not playing too long in the concert. So that's why I have this sand watch. You know, I have hourglass, and I turn the hourglass when we start, and then, you know, 1 hour we can see 1 hour, and when it's, you know, when 1 hour's gone, we should stop, because he didn't have a, you know, kind of system how his music would stop. You know, he didn't want to, like.
Yeah. Interesting.
But then we went on the stage, and he forgot to turn the hourglass. So we played a lot longer.
That's a funny one.
This is Braxton. This is maybe it was even on purpose. Maybe it was even on purpose. He says, you know, we have the hourglass, but it's not even right. I mean, this is the mystery. You know, this guy is a mystery. You know, it's way more than, you know, that there is.
But was it like a bigger group, or with him?
Yeah, I think we're about 8 people or 10 people.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
And one last one, like I love him, Tomasz Stanko.
Yeah.
Also, you play like in a quartet with him, or how was that?
He was actually, I invited him twice to play with me, and the first one was he was
seriously?
Yeah, he was guest with Klima Kalima.
Oh wow! Is there any recordings of that, or?
There are some bootleg recordings, but it's not released, and it's not gonna get released. I think there's no way. And now he's gone.
Sure.
I think maybe even from the first one, maybe there's just a bad recording. But he came to Berlin and we played a concert, and I have to admit, on that one, he said to, you know, that was still time before internet. I had to call him. He would take the train from Warsaw, come out. He's, Kalle, I'm not really a sideman. I don't really read music. And I was a young guy, you know, this is about 2001 or 2002.
Oh, wow, really?
Really understand what he means. So the tunes I was bringing were not really proper for this project. They were way too much kind of stuff he, you know, he doesn't really
complicated in a way, or
yeah, in a way too complicated, and it's just wrong, for this project. I mean, he's a great player. So anyway, I think that first concert didn't come out so great. It somehow we tried to meet and we met on some moments, but we did not always meet so much.
Yeah.
But then it was a second chance to do it, and I got to invited also to this festival in Finland, Kerava, and he came out and we played with the Finnish group. We played with basically with the same guys. I did this album with Marc Ducret. This was just a few years later. This is maybe about 2002 or 2003, so it's a while back. And he would come, and then I knew now which kind of tunes we would need to have.
Yeah.
And it worked great, it worked great. And I have a recording of that somewhere too, and maybe one day. But anyway, I don't have any, rights to play. I mean,
yeah.
And he's gone. But it was great. It was great fun to play with him, and it's interesting. He was also explaining a little bit of his life, and a very rough life, really something so different what we, our generations usually experienced. And it was kind of very, this old school. I mean, he was somehow surviving all these years in Poland, not really able to work so much, and he had also some personal, issues to come across to. But anyway, he had a great spirit, and I'm very happy his last years were so successful. I mean, he made a great comeback internationally.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, definitely.
About at that time, it was interesting. He was just coming up again, when I met him. And then, anyway, he was getting. I remember it was so funny. First time he asked something. I don't know, maybe 1,000 Deutschmark or something. Some kind of. Yeah. And then next time I asked him, he was funny. Kalle, we used to have Deutschmark, so it was 1,000 Deutschmark, but now we have euros, so it's 1,000 euro.
Good for him.
I thought that's great. It's like 100% more than just, old school. Old school. Yeah.
Definitely cool. That's a nice one, man.
Dr. Jazz. Dr. Jazz.